All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is VC Pramod. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate to the nation main tunnel and 5 underpasses of Pragati Maidan Integrated Transit Corridor project in Delhi this morning. Polio immunization 2022 to begin today in 11 states and union territories. 7th round of Joint Consultative Commission between India and Bangladesh to be held in New Delhi today. Flood situation in Assam remains critical. Prime Minister assures all support from the centre. Prime Minister expresses shock over cowardly terrorist attack on Karte Parwa Gurudwara in Kabul. 3 ISIS assailants killed. Historic torch relay for 44th Chess Olympiad to be launched at Indira Gandhi Stadium in New Delhi. Prime Minister to address the occasion. Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra clinches gold in 2022 Kuortane Games in Finland. And in cricket, 5th and final T20 international between India and South Africa to be played at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru this evening. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate to the nation the main tunnel and 5 underpasses of Pragati Maidan Integrated Transit Corridor project this morning. He will also address a gathering on the occasion. The Integrated Transit Corridor project is an integral part of Pragati Maidan redevelopment project. More details from our correspondent.
The Pragati Maidan Integrated Transit Corridor project has been built at a cost of more than 920 crore rupees, entirely funded by the central government. It is aimed to provide hassle-free and smooth access to the new world-class exhibition and convention center being developed at Pragati Maidan, thereby facilitating easy participation of exhibitors and visitors in the programs being held at the venue. The impact of the project, however, will be much beyond Pragati Maidan, as it will ensure hassle-free vehicular movement, helping save time and cost of commuters in a big way. It is part of the vision of the government to ensure ease of living for people through transforming urban infrastructure. The main tunnel connects Ring Road with India Gate through Purana Kila Road, passing through Pragati Maidan. The 6-lane divided tunnel has multiple purposes, including access to the huge basement parking of Pragati Maidan. A unique component of the tunnel is that 2 cross tunnels below the main tunnel road have been constructed in order to facilitate movement of the traffic from either side of the parking lot. It is equipped with latest global standard facilities for smooth movement of traffic such as smart fire management, modern ventilation and automated drainage, digitally controlled CCTV and public announcement system inside the tunnel. Anupam Mish, AR News, Delhi.
The polio immunization 2022 will begin today in 11 states and union territories. The Health Ministry said the first sub-national immunization day of the year will start its campaign for administering polio vaccine draws to around 3 crore 9 lakh children below 5 years of age. The campaign will start in Bihar, Chandigarh, Delhi, Gujarat, Haryana, Jharkhand, Maharashtra, Punjab, Rajasthan, Uttarakhand and West Bengal. During this campaign, targeted children will be given polio draws through booths, house-to-house, mobile and transit teams. The government has also introduced the injectable inactivated polio virus vaccine to provide additional protection to children in its routine immunization program. The ministry said India was certified polio-free in March 2014, but the risk of wild polio virus importation or the emergence of vaccine-derived polio viruses persists until global eradication. It said this is why there is a need for maintaining high population immunity and sensitive surveillance in the country. The ministry said India is making efforts to protect its children from more and more vaccine-preventable diseases by introducing additional vaccines under the Universal Immunization Program. It urged all parents to get their children less than 5 years of age vaccinated against polio.
Over 196 crore COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. The Health Ministry said with the increase in cases, India's active case load increased to 68,108 and the recovery rate declined to 98.63%. Foreign Minister of Bangladesh, A.K. Abdul Momen, arrived in India on a 3-day official visit yesterday. He will attend the 7th round of the Joint Consultative Commission, JCC, between India and Bangladesh today evening. The JCC will be co-chaired by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Mr. Momen. This will be the first physical JCC meeting after the COVID-19 pandemic. The previous edition was held virtually in 2020. The JCC will review the entire gamut of bilateral relations, including cooperation in the wake of COVID-19, border management and security, trade and investment, connectivity, energy, water resources, development partnership, and regional and multilateral issues. Tomorrow, Mr. Momen will call on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu.
Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh today said Agniveers will get 10% reservation in Defence Ministry's job vacancies. In a tweet, Mr. Singh said, reservation for Agniveers meeting requisite eligibility criteria will be implemented in the Indian Coast Guard and Defence Civilian Posts and all the 16 Defence public sector undertakings. He added, this reservation would be in addition to the existing reservations for ex-servicemen. He further said the defence public sector undertakings will be advised to make similar amendments to their respective recruitment rules. Necessary age relaxation provisions will also be made. He said that necessary amendments to the relevant recruitment rules will be undertaken to implement these provisions. The Ministry of Home Affairs has decided to reserve 10% vacancies for recruitment in the Central Armed Police Forces and Assam Rifles for Agniveers. In a tweet, the Office of the Home Minister said, the Ministry has also decided to give 3 years age relaxation beyond the prescribed upper age limit to Agniveers for recruitment in the Central Armed Police Force and Assam Rifles. It said for the first batch of Agniveers, the age relaxation will be for 5 years beyond the prescribed upper age limit.
Maharashtra BJP unit President Chandrakant Patil has said yesterday that the youth aspiring to join military service could never destroy the property of the country. He said the violence that erupted after the announcement of the Agnipath scheme is politically driven. In a press statement, he said if cases are registered against youth who have indulged in violence, they will destroy their career for a lifetime. Mr. Patil said the centre has given an opportunity to the youth to work in the military for 4 years. The youth will get military training, a good salary, and while he leaves the service, he will be given 11.5 lakh rupees, he said, adding that after completing 4 years of service in the military, they can do business and will also have the opportunity to take up other jobs as well. He expressed confidence that Agniveers who will return after serving for 4 years in the Army, Navy or Air Force will be disciplined and their numbers will be more. He said misconceptions about Agnipath scheme can be dispelled after taking its proper information. In Afghanistan, attackers that stormed the Sikh Gurdwara at Karte Parwan area in Kabul have been killed. Afghan Interior Ministry spokesman Abdul Nafi Taqor confirmed this last night. Several blasts tore through the Gurdwara yesterday morning, killing 2 persons, including a Sikh, and injuring 7 others. Afghan security personnel thwarted a bigger tragedy by stopping an explosive-laden vehicle from reaching the Gurdwara. The ministry spokesman confirmed the death of a Sikh man and a soldier in the crossfire. Assailants belonging to ISIS Khursan had attacked the Gurdwara. The Pajok news agency reported that the 3 attackers were killed by Taliban forces. Yesterday's incident is the latest targeted attack on a place of worship of a minority community in Afghanistan. The UN mission has strongly condemned the terrorist attack. Taking to Twitter, the UN Assistance Mission in Afghanistan called for the protection of all minorities in Afghanistan, including Sikhs, Hazaras and Sufis. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed shock over the cowardly terrorist attack on the Karte Parwan Gurdwara in Kabul. In a tweet, Mr. Modi condemned the barbaric attack and prayed for the safety and well-being of the devotees.
Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has sought the intervention of the centre in regard to the excavation and preservation of a recently discovered post-Mauryan site in Barpali in Odisha. In a letter to the Union Minister for Culture and Tourism, G. Kishan Reddy, Mr. Pradhan has sought his personal intervention to hand over the excavation work to the Archaeological Survey of India. More details from our correspondent.
In his letter, Mr. Pradhan has apprised the Union Culture Minister about the preciousness of the 2,000-year-old post-Mauryan site, which was discovered recently by the History Department of the Sambalpur-based Gangadhar Meher University. The site, spread over 17 hectares of land, has yielded numerous priceless artifacts and antiquities. Hence, the Minister has urged the Union Culture Ministry to direct the Archaeological Survey of India to take over the excavation work of the site for better exploration, excavation, examination, and policies and security of the invaluable antiquities and historical wealth. Girish Chandradas, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate to the nation main tunnel and 5 underpasses of Pragati Maidan Integrated Transit Corridor project in Delhi this morning. Polio immunization 2022 to begin today in 11 states and union territories. 7th round of joint consultative commission between India and Bangladesh to be held in New Delhi today. Flood situation in Assam remains critical. Prime Minister assures all support from the centre. Prime Minister expresses shock over cowardly terrorist attack on Karte Parwa Gurdwara in Kabul. The 3 ISIS assailants killed. Historic torch relay for the 44th Chess Olympiad to be launched at Indira Gandhi Stadium in New Delhi. Prime Minister to address on the occasion. Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra clinches gold in 2022 Khortane Games in Finland. And in cricket, 5th and final T20 international between India and South Africa to be played at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
कंपटीशन की अगर आप कर रहे हैं तैयारी तो उनके लिए ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर हम लाए हैं अभ्यास, एक ऐसा कार्यक्रम जिसमें आप पूछेंगे सवाल व्हाट्सएप नंबर 9289094044 पर या फिर ईमेल करेंगे abhyas.airnews@gmail.com पर और हमारे विशेषज्ञ देंगे इसका जवाब। इस बार का विषय है इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी और सवाल भेजने की अंतिम तारीख है 22 जून। आपका अभ्यास हमारा प्रयास।
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
Welcome back. You're listening to the morning news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said the Constitution is not just a book but an idea, a commitment and a belief in freedom. He said synergy of rights and duties make our Constitution so special. The Prime Minister released Ram Bahadur Rai's book Bharatiya Samvidhan Ankahi Kahani and addressed the event through a video message yesterday. He said from the formation of the Constituent Assembly to its debates, from the adoption of the Constitution to its present stage, we have consistently seen a dynamic and progressive Constitution. He noted that it was on the 18th of June that the then President Rajendra Prasad signed the first amendment of the Constitution. The Prime Minister also emphasized the need for widespread awareness about the Constitution. Dwelling upon the living nature of the Constitution, the Prime Minister elaborated, India has by nature been a free-thinking country and inertia is not part of our basic nature. And now let's listen to our special program Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember writer and freedom fighter Pandit Madhavrao Sapre, who was born on June the 19th, 1871 in Patharia village in Damoh district of Madhya Pradesh. Sapre was inspired by Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak towards the freedom struggle.
Sukh ka data sabka sathi, shubh ka ye sandesh hai. माँ की गोद पिता का आश्रय मेरा मध्य प्रदेश है.
A brilliant student, Sapre developed a passion for Hindi language and literature. The British government invited him for appointment to high posts in government jobs, but he turned down the offer and instead chose to become a teacher at a meagre salary to support the freedom struggle and promotion of Hindi. He started publication of monthly paper Chhattisgarh Mitra in 1900.
With the inspiration of Madhav Rao Sapre, Anand Samaj Reading Room was established at Kankalipara, Raipur, which emerged as a center of national consciousness and political discourse. In 1905, Sapre established Hindi Granth Prakashan Mandali in Nagpur and started the publication of a monthly magazine called Hindi Granthmala in the year 1906. In one of its issues, a long essay titled Swadeshi Movement and Boycott was published. The magazine was closed in the year 1908 under the British Government Press Act.
विंध्याचल का भाल नर्मदा का जल जिसके पास है, यहाँ ज्ञान विज्ञान कला का लिखा गया इतिहास है.
In the Congress session of 1905 at Varanasi, Madhav Rao Sapre met Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He was greatly influenced by Tilak's thoughts and wanted to spread his ideology in Hindi. With the permission of Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Sapre started the publication of the Hindi version of Tilak's Marathi newsletter, Kesari, in Nagpur in 1907, under the name Hindi Kesari Weekly. Sapre translated the Gita Rahasya, written in Marathi by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, into Hindi. He was arrested for writing seditious articles like Black Water in Hindi Kesari.
Sapre considered untouchability as a social stigma and was a strong advocate of girls' education and women's freedom. In the year 1912, he established the Janaki Devi Kanya Pathshala in Raipur. In 1921, on the call of Gandhiji, he got the National School and Hindu Orphanage established in Raipur for the education of the students.
Sapre continued to generate political awakening through his discourses in many cities of Chhattisgarh. He was elected president of the All India Hindi Sahitya Sammelan in 1924, held in Dehradun. The great writer breathed his last on 23rd of April 1926 in Raipur. AIR News salutes the great nationalist.
We also remember Gandhian nationalist Nanabhai Khant, who was martyred on the 19th of June 1947. A resident of Dungarpur, Rajasthan, Khant was a popular Bhil leader and used to run a Gandhian institution, Dungar Seva Sangh, to look after the Bhil school at Rastapal. The tyrant ruler of Dungarpur, Maharaval, was opposed to the Dungarpur Seva Sangh and ordered for the closure of the school. On the 19th of June 1947, the superintendent of police and his team reached the village and ordered Nanabhai and Master Sangabhai to close down the school.
On their refusal to obey the order, the police started beating Sangabhai, dragged him out of the school building and tied him to the police truck by a rope. In his bid to save the life of Sangabhai, Nanabhai chased the moving truck. The policemen thrashed Nanabhai repeatedly and so severely that he died on the spot. AIR News salutes the great nationalist. That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with our listeners tomorrow. Celebrate 75 years of India's independence by participating in the Amrit Mahotsav quiz with AIR News. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will launch the historic torch relay for the 44th Chess Olympiad at Indira Gandhi Stadium in New Delhi today. The Prime Minister will also address a gathering on the occasion. This year, for the very first time, International Chess Federation, FIDE, has instituted the Chess Olympiad torch, a part of the Olympic tradition, but was never done in the Chess Olympiad. India is the first country to have the Chess Olympiad torch relay. Notably, taking the Indian roots of chess to a greater height, the torch relay for the Chess Olympiad will henceforth always begin in India and travel across all continents before reaching the host country. A report.
FIDE President Arkady Dvorkovich will hand over the torch to Prime Minister Modi, who in turn will hand it over to Grandmaster Vishwanathan Anand. This torch will then be taken to 75 cities in a span of 40 days before the final culmination at Mahabalipuram in Tamil Nadu. At every location, chess grandmasters of the state will receive the torch. The prestigious competition, which is being organized since 1927, is being hosted in India for the first time and in Asia after 30 years. With 189 countries participating, this will be the largest participation in any chess Olympiad. With Saubhagyakar, Tanvi Khurana, AIR News, Delhi.
The 44th Chess Olympiad will be held in Chennai from the 28th of next month to the 10th of August. Talking to DD News, Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting and Youth Affairs and Sports, Anurag Thakur said,
पहली बार ये होने जा रहा है। ऐतिहासिक पल हमारे लिए है। 190 देशों के लगभग 3000 खिलाड़ी भारत में आएंगे, जो दुनिया भर के देश कई वर्षों की तैयारियों के बाद आयोजन करते हैं। भारत मात्र 3 महीने के समय में इसका आयोजन करने जा रहा है। एक और नई शुरुआत होने जा रही है। आज तक कभी चेस ओलंपियाड में चेस ओलंपियाड टॉर्च रिले नहीं हुआ। ये पहली बार होने जा रहा है और वो भी माननीय प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के कर कमलों से। इससे चेस के प्रति जागरूकता भी बढ़ेगी और लोग इससे जुड़ेंगे भी। तो खेलो चेस अभियान को हम आगे बढ़ाने का काम करेंगे और हमारा प्रयास रहेगा कि भव्य आयोजन चेस ओलंपियाड का भारत में बहुत सफल हो।
Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will lead the Yoga celebrations from the Statue of Unity in Kevadia, Gujarat on the occasion of the 8th International Day of Yoga coming Tuesday. In the spirit of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 iconic sites have been selected for observing this year's International Day of Yoga. Promoting the healthy habit of practicing yoga regularly, Dr. Mandavia in a message today stated that in order to avoid illness and receive happiness, it is very important to focus on wellness, for which everyone should make yoga a part of their lives.
प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के प्रयासों से यूनाइटेड नेशन ने 21 जून को योग दिन घोषित किया है। भारत के योग को वैश्विक मान्यता मिली है, ये हमारे लिए गौरव की बात है। इस वर्ष भी सारी दुनिया 21 जून को योग दिन के रूप में मनाएंगे। देश जब आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव मना रहा है, उस अवसर पर समग्र देश में योगा कार्यक्रम का आयोजन किया जा रहा है। योग मन और शरीर को जोड़ता है और इसलिए मैं सभी को आग्रह करता हूँ कि योगा दिन के अवसर पर आप जहाँ हो वहाँ योगा कार्यक्रम में जुड़िए। आइए सब लोग योग करिए, स्वस्थ रहिए, निरोगी रहिए।
The Indian women's hockey team will take on Argentina in the second match of the FIH Women's Hockey Pro League tournament at Rotterdam in Netherlands today. In the first match yesterday, Indian women gave a spirited performance to stun Olympic silver medalist Argentina by 4-3 in the shootout. In the stipulated time, both the teams scored 3 goals each. India is currently placed at the 3rd position in the points table with 22 points in 10 games, while Argentina is at the top with 38 points in 14 matches. Indian women will also face the US on June 21st and 22nd. Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra has clinched gold in the 2022 Kortane Games in Finland yesterday. Neeraj defeated reigning world champion Anderson Peters of Grenada for the second time in 4 days. Neeraj threw 86.69 meters to clinch the top prize in tricky and wet conditions. The Indian javelin thrower hit the spot on his very first try at the tournament, had a foul on his second try and bore a nasty slip in his third attempt, following which he chose to skip the remaining 2 attempts. Keshawn Walcott of Trinidad settled for silver with a throw of 86.64 meters, while Anderson Peters claimed bronze with a throw of 84.75 meters. India's Sandeep Chaudhary was 8th in the standings with a throw of 60.35 meters. The Golden Boy of India will next take part in the Stockholm leg of the Diamond League on the 30th of June.
In cricket, the 5th and final T20 international between India and South Africa will be played at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru this evening. The match will start at 7 p.m. This will be the decider encounter as the series is currently levelled at 2-2, with South Africa winning the first 2 matches and India the 3rd and the 4th.
In Assam, the flood situation turned severe as 32 districts have now come under its grip. 8 persons have lost their lives and another 8 are still missing during the last 24 hours. Over 4,000 villages are under the grip of flood and about 31 lakh people were affected in the fury of the flood. A report.
Over 1.5 lakh people have taken shelter in 816 relief camps. Huge crop areas, bridges, roads, culverts have been damaged at many places. The Army, paramilitary forces, NDRF, SDRF along with local administrations are carrying out rescue operations. And relief materials are being distributed in flood-hit areas. Several ministers are visiting flood-affected districts to take stock of the rescue and relief works. Aminul Haqzadar, Guwahati.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. National capital Delhi will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature will hover between 23 and 32 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. Minimum and maximum temperature will hover between 25 and 31 degrees Celsius. Chennai will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature will hover between 27 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will have a generally cloudy sky with few spells of rain or thunder showers. The temperature will hover between 26 and 31 degrees Celsius. Srinagar and Jammu will have thunderstorm with rain. Leh will have a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Gilgit will have a generally cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder or lightning. Muzaffarabad is likely to have thunderstorm with rain. Visakhapatnam, Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Thiruvananthapuram will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Guwahati, Kohima, Shillong, Aizawl, Itanagar and Imphal will have a generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Agartala and Gangtok will have a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. All papers have widely covered the SOPs offered by the Centre to Agniveers. Centre states promised jobs amid Agnipat stir, writes the Hindustan Times. The Hindu Business Line headlines Central Ministries to absorb Agniveers, ease age norms. The serial bomb blast at a Kabul Gurdwara is another story that hogs the front page today. The Sunday Tribune writes, series of blasts at Kabul Gurdwara, 2 killed. With 11 lakh people displaced in Assam floods, the Sunday Tribune writes, Assam reels under devastating floods. PM Modi dials Himanta. Papers have also widely covered the PM seeking blessings of his mother on her birthday. The Sunday Pioneer carries an excerpt of his blog on its front page. My mother is simple but extraordinary, says Modi. The Asian Age headlines, PM Lord's Matra Shakti says women can achieve anything. And finally, Chennai is very close to breaking into the global top 100 Startup Ecosystem Index 2022. The Hindu Business Line writes, Chennai 2's top 100 Global Startup Ecosystem.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate to the nation main tunnel and 5 underpasses of Pragati Maidan Integrated Transit Corridor Project in Delhi this morning. Polio immunization 2022 to begin today in 11 states and union territories. 7th round of Joint Consultative Commission between India and Bangladesh to be held in New Delhi today. Flood situation in Assam remains critical. Prime Minister assures all support from the centre. Prime Minister expresses shock over cowardly terrorist attack on Karte Parwa Gurudwara in Kabul. The 3 assailants belong to ISIS, Khorasan, killed. Historic torch relay for the 44th Chess Olympiad to be launched at Indira Gandhi Stadium in New Delhi. Prime Minister to address on the occasion. Tokyo Olympic gold medalist Neeraj Chopra clinches gold in 2022 Kuartane Games in Finland. And in cricket, 5th and final T20 international between India and South Africa to be played at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru this evening. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.